Welcome to sportsmed.ie. For this video we're going to show you how to stretch your hamstrings. Now, one of the most common mistakes people with hamstring problems make is that they only stretch their hamstrings, when often the hamstring is more the symptom than the cause of the problem, especially for people sitting down for a living, i.e. driving or behind a desk. So there's going to be a series of exercises starting with the plantar fascia. The reason for the plantar fascia is because of the deep superficial line of fascia that runs up along the back of your leg and all the way up to your neck. Often this can get tight and locked up, and it can cause the fascia to tighten in other areas. One of the most common places for it to tighten is under the heel here. So the first thing we'll do is to release that. So I'm just going to get Amy to just roll on this ball here. So anything we'll do, a hockey ball, tennis ball, cricket ball, and just roll up and down nice and gently for 5 minutes on this ball. Find the particular areas that are tight, and you can just concentrate on those and just roll over this way and then from side to side, and just for 5 minutes just get that released. And the difference before and after for toe touch or straight leg raise can often be incredible by just releasing this plantar fascia. So 5 minutes left, 5 minutes right, 5 minutes left. The next exercise I'm going to get Amy to do is a hip flexor stretch. Tight hip flexors will cause the pelvis to tilt forwards, causing the hamstring to be under pressure at the back. So it's very, very important to release both the deep hip flexors, psoas major and iliacus, and rectus femoris down to the front of the quad. So the first one is for psoas major and iliacus. So if you have to put your right knee here, Amy, just make it easier to show. Perfect. So one of the most common mistakes people make in this stretch is that they don't extend the hip fully before starting. So they just go a little bit and then arch backwards. What this does is it just puts an awful lot of pressure on your hinge, either over L5, S1 or L4, L5, and you end up getting back pain. So the key before you start is to extend as far as possible. So this hip is now well in front of Amy's knee. So go as far as you can, feel a nice stretch there, and then keeping your back as straight as you can, just bring up your rib cage and backwards, just getting taller as you do it. And you just get that psoas major all the way from T12 down to L5. Hang out there for 2 minutes, nice and easy, don't bounce into it, don't push it too hard at the beginning, and after 2 minutes you can swap over and do the left side. Okay, hope you get any. Next stretch is for rectus femoris in particular. It'll also stretch the TFL. So sideline, pull the bottom knee up to your chest, try and stay nice and neutral. Grab your lower leg above the ankle, don't grab the foot because you'll damage your ankle. Keep the knee down. So what you want to do is you want this knee to come up above the hip joint if your TFL is tight, tensor fasciae lata. A tight tensor fasciae lata will cause anterior hip rotation, it will cause the iliotibial band to tighten up, which can lead to runner's knee and bursitis at the knee. So make sure that that's well stretched out. Keep the knee down and just pull back so you're extending back the hip. Make sure that knee is below the level of the hip all the time. And a test for this is if you run it down or a line straight through the shoulder joint, straight through the hip joint, you should be able to extend that knee past that line, okay? Without it coming upwards like that. Perfect. Okay, so 2 minutes right, 2 minutes left. Up you get. Those two stretches are more of a precursor to this one, which is a bit more aggressive but ultimately way more beneficial if you can do it. So, if you get a towel or a cushion, because it can be quite sore on the knee, down on both knees, I want you to bring your knee back in against the wall, like so. Your foot is up against the wall, so you will need a degree of ankle mobility for this. Make sure your knee is directly pressed against the wall and that it stays there. Bring the other leg out in front of you. That's it. Up you come, and there's two parts to this stretch. It's 2 minutes long. The first part, I want you to just come away from the foot and drop down the pelvis there, so that you're getting a good stretch, TFL, and again, iliacus and psoas major. And once again, avoid hinging back here, so if you are arching back, make sure that you're getting taller as you do it. That's perfect, so 1 minute hanging out there. Then for the second minute, come back up to that heel, touch your bum against the heel, that's it, without falling, and stay as strong and as steady as possible. And this stretch will be felt more down the front of the thigh here at rectus femoris. So a minute iliopsoas, a minute rec fem. Okay, hop up there again, Amy. The next stretch is for the deep posterior hip external rotators, so the gemelli, obturatus internus and externus, and quadratus femoris. They're very, very important to, if they're tight, it causes a lot of hip restriction and can be quite difficult to release. A great stretch for those is on the ground, so you can go down again, flat stretch for me. So, key with this is make sure your knee joint is directly in front of your hip joint, that it's not coming out beyond the body this way. Make sure that your knee is at 90 degrees. By keeping the knee at 90 degrees, so if we just close this here, what you can see is if you look at Amy's knee, so if you can bring that back out to 90 degrees, you can see how the knee has rotated externally by just bringing it out to 90 degrees. So by really, really getting that knee out, you're going to get a lovely external rotation back here at the hip joint. Extend the leg back behind you, try and keep the pelvis nice and straight. What you'll be tempted to do is to keep this pelvis twisted this way and come down. So again, if you can really twist this pelvis, keep it nice and straight, you'll get an extra external rotation. And then lean out over the knee as far as you can. So Amy's quite flexible, she has no problem. Reach your hands out in front of you and just hang out over that hip for 2 minutes. The stretch you'll feel, so there's Amy's hip, will be back in behind that hip joint there. So you just 2 minutes, nice and easy. Now for some people who are not flexible enough, so Amy, you can hop up there, and you might have a little bit of trouble with that stretch. Get a table or a bench roughly about hip high, so you hop up there, Amy. Bring your leg up in front of it. Again, hip more or less in front of your shoulder. Knee at 90 degrees and come forwards again. So if you do have tight hip flexors, if you are a bit restricted, this is a nice stretch as an introduction until you can get full mobility for that stretch. It's perfect, up you get. So, and after you've completed those stretches, what you'll find is that if you're using toe touch or straight leg raise as your baseline, it will have increased. Even though you'd have stretched very little back here, that will be increased already. But to move on to the hamstring stretches, if you hop up on your back, Amy, for me. I'm going to do 2 forms of stretching. The first one is a form of AIS stretching, which is active isolated stretching. What it does is it uses a contraction of the opposing muscle, quadriceps in this case, and just a 2-second hold. And what I'm going to get you to do is 2 sets of 10 reps on each side. So you're going to do 10 reps right, 10 reps left, 10 right, 10 left. So starting position is knee to your chest. You can get a towel, a rope, a band, anything you want. Just grab it with both hands. The key here is to make sure that your knee is against the chest all the time, and that for the first part of the movement you're not using your strap, you're extending the leg using the quad as far as you can. When you get as far as you can, you pull for 1, 2 and back again. Extend as far as you can, pull for 1, 2 and back again. So you're doing 10 reps of that 2 times. The second part of the hamstring stretch is quite similar. You're getting yourself into the maximum possible stretch, keeping the knee against the chest, so don't leave that knee kicked back. What you'll be tempted to do is when you get to about here, your knee will be tempted to kick back. Keep that knee against the chest, pull in, and if you just keep the elbows nice and tight, because you're going to be staying there for 2 minutes, so nice and comfortable, and just hold that nice and easy for 2 minutes. So those exercises will help you to release the hamstring. Do that series of stretches 3 times a week, and we'll see you next time for the next video. Thank you.